afternoon, everyone. This is RAND, and welcome to the global guided meditation call for Wednesday, January 8, 2025, at 3 p.m. Eastern. We're having a time for change call tonight, around 9:15 or so p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about the facade that's rampant right now and the truth. Everything we do is a choice that we make. Now, it doesn't mean that our choice is that we're aware. I mean, consciously aware. A lot of times we just make quick decisions or choices to do something, and where someone says, well, you better think about that before you do it. And some people just do it. Every tomorrow has two handles. We can take hold of it with the hands of anxiety, or the handle of anxiety, or the handle of faith. Henry Ward Beecher. The number one destroyer of these bodies, what do you think it is? Number one by far. Stress. Now, most of us don't realize that we have stress. We have stress 24/7 because of frequencies, emotions, happenings all over the planet. Above us, around us, beneath us. But we get so used to it that we don't know we're stressed. Pollution, all kinds of things causes us to become stretched, right? Stressed. When you look at somebody who's a stress-free being, and stress-free beings are different than any of us, yet they have adopted a variety of different ways of seeing, interpreting, understanding this world that allows them to fully live in this world, yet not get caught in its drama. This is, see, when we talk about being in the now, we don't get caught in a drama because the drama's not there. It's like, here's a building, you're outside of it. Now the building has no windows, nothing, it's just a block. It has a door, and you can kind of feel the vibration of the building. Now outside the building, it's totally serene, peaceful, calm, quiet. I mean, it's just wonderful. But your curiosity gets the best of you, so you open the door and you go into the building. Immediately you feel this heaviness, this stress coming down on you. You haven't really interacted with anyone because there's so many people in there that you can barely move. The beings who are always relaxed inside, believe it or not, there are some that are, free from any kind of stress, have a constant expanding perception of themselves. They know no limits to what is possible. They also know no destination other than now. They experience no hesitation, no procrastination, and no postponement of their life. Because life is so wonderful, and it's too juicy being here now. A stress-free being loves life too much to be stressed out about it. Their mind does not get stuck on judgments of themselves or others and releases them the instant they arise. They have no resistance to life's multidimensional barrage of experiences. Thus, they hold no tension in their body's nervous system. Any stressful constrictions of blood vessels caused by adrenaline rushes, doubt, fear, or anger are instantly released. So they can dive deeper into more experiences of joy, love, and freedom. They simply have their priorities straight. A stress-free being isn't doing anything to avoid an early death because they are too consumed with loving life, enjoying the illusion of it, and having a great time all the way to the grave. They know that everything is always going to change, and they are always guided in this constant changing flow of life. When they connect with other people, they know it may be their last moments together, and yet are relaxed because they understand that everyone is an infinite being who will never die. Because this wisdom circulates in their thoughts, emotions, and physical body, they are constantly tapped into a perpetual flow of bliss within themselves. Stress-free people have learned one key technique, that stress is the number one signal from the body to stop whatever they are doing and let it all go. They know avoidance strategies don't work. And to ignore this signal and keep going, which most people do, will only cause future pain. They only want to transcend the mental prison of their ego's agenda. Even though they've practiced the art of letting go and releasing for years, they always consider themselves to be a student. They are always learning. They've truly come around to embracing their own innocence. They can see and feel that within the innermost core of this pure being, they know that this is the simple ecstasy everyone is seeking. People who embrace a stress-free way of life, have very playful energy. This entire universe is their playground. They play with all kinds of people from all walks and worlds. They also welcome any experience they come in contact with. They know how to easily handle any negative thoughts that arise in the mind. They never take these negative things too seriously and choose instead a playful approach on the inner world as well as the outer. A stress-free being resists nothing. When negative feelings and a grumpy state enters the mind, they invite it in openly and experience the pattern it's holding fully. Everything that occurs in their mind, emotions and body, are welcomed as a guest that is here to visit for a short time. They know the bigger picture of life, so they can welcome each thought and feeling and not get stuck in them. They see every negative thought as a small water rapid down the infinite river of life. And so they kick back and relish the ride over them. Someone who constantly lives in the stress-free zone has tapped into the truth of their being. They live each moment connected to the truth that they are an infinite being that knows no death. They know the body will come and go, yet who they are cannot be harmed or impacted by the outer world. When you fully embrace that knowing, it is impossible to force stress to exist in your world. For you realize that all outer world situations are temporary experiences that cannot touch the beauty and lightness of your being. You realize the truth, and you will be truly free. You are not this mind, nor this body. You are the radiant eternal light that cannot be dimmed in any way, shape, or form. Your true self continues to shine brightly through all of the adventures of being a human being that the mind may label as stressful. Whatever may cause your mind to feel stressed out is simply the mind being overly attached to a certain limited thought or form. When you realize the truth of who you are, the mind has to let go automatically, and you are free. Now, what we do in these meditations is we quiet the mind. Remember that the meditative mind is divine mind. It is simply being here in the now. It has become so relaxed that it is actually laser focused, pointing towards mindfulness in the now. Every stress-free being will tell you there is no better moment in your life than this one that is happening right now. Meditation is a way to quiet the mind so you can see that all experiences, negative and positive, are paths of the soul to discover this higher universal source. A quiet mind can hear their intuition clearly, so they can establish deeper connections with everyone in this world and manifest a much more peaceful experience of this life. A quiet mind is much easier to live with than a busy mind. Ask yourself, how many times during the course of the day do you celebrate what is now? Attachment to your past and future is what creates the greatest amount of stress in our lives. Since this moment is the only thing that is real, choose to be constantly celebrating what is happening now. If you are experiencing a problem, celebrate it. That problem will soon be a deep, eternal love in disguise. Life is actually not about overcoming your problems and karma. It is a celebration of all opposites until there is equanimity in the mind and complete balance of emotions, which leads you into total freedom of consciousness. How could the mind know light without shadow or depth without shallowness? The mind exists in a state of perpetual ebb and flow of the tides. Celebration of this play is what makes you a master of your life. Whatever it is that's happening in your life right now, there is some way you can celebrate it. There is always another door opening where one has closed. Now is that moment that is filled with life's amazing qualities. And just realizing this little secret will assist you greatly in choosing to see the miraculous instead of the mundane wherever you are. Remember your infinite nature. As we go through our days, pause regularly to remember this simple truth. We are all eternal beings who will never die. We are souls in a body who will only change form. We will be reborn again if we want to or not. If we have enough awareness, we can choose to master this existence and then experience anything we want to. The infinite quality of our being is obvious and very real. It is just like the sun, always shining, always bright, and super warm. And yet the sun is a grand understatement to describe the brilliance of who we really are. When we discover the true enormity inside ourselves, everything will change. The outer world will no longer impact you in a negative, fearful way. This universe will welcome you to explore this limitless divine self everywhere you go on its playground. Now, anytime you can do this whenever you want, whenever you choose. But put it into play next 7 days. Anytime you start getting stressed out about something, practice celebrating what is. Simply say to yourself, I choose to celebrate existence right now. Life is just too good to not make this choice, even if you don't understand why. Look for the deep eternal love that is hidden behind this so-called problem and celebrate it as an opportunity for growth. It is your chance to quiet your mind and realize your infinite nature. Remind yourself when you notice stress arising inside that you are an infinite being that will not die. Notice what happens. Play with this and welcome all that life challenges you. Your job is to intimately know yourself as that which is permanent and can never be harmed, hurt, or changed. We spend 99% of our time on outside influences. And all along, the things that, in the event that we choose to embrace and celebrate everything, right? Let's put it this way, when we're in our single numbers, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we get into double digits, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 20s, and then 30s, and then 40s, and then 50s, and on and on. We don't pay any attention to ourselves. We're so distracted through the ego mind and yesterday and tomorrow. So do we really practice celebrating everything? Or do we practice being fearful in some way, stressed, worried, which adds to whatever it is? But when we embrace things and celebrate them, we look at them from a different perspective. Say, you look at something and you say, come on in here, come in, sit a bit, let's talk about this. What happens is that in a very short period of time, you go through a shift, a transformation. You no longer look at things as what? Stressful, irritating, worrisome, fearful. And any of those things that come by, you just have an open door policy. Just look, hey, come on in. How you doing? What's up? And this is all by our choice. This isn't anybody else's choice. It's yours. Only you. You decide for yourself. Makes a lot of sense to not be stressed. When we live in yesterday and tomorrow, we're always stressed. At some level, shape, or form, we're always experiencing stress. When we're in heart-mindedness, there is no stress. Imagine what it would be like with these bodies for us to not be stressed. Wow. Now, one might say, well, it could just blanket the planet with wealth. And would that really alleviate stress? See, our mind, our ego mind, you have a bucket of problems, whatever they are, and the bucket of problems eventually are gone. As soon as you're gone, another bucket is there immediately behind it. Why is that? Well, number one, we're living in the ego mind. Number two, we're always stressed, and we attract what we focus on. Where energy flow, where attention goes, energy flows. So whatever we're focused on, if you're you're in a stressful situation, you're focused on it, what's going to happen? The intensity of the stress is going to increase. The word overwhelmed is being used more and more on the planet. Overwhelmed with everything. Well, it's because we're in it and we're not outside watching it. When you get in it, it isn't difficult for us to get in it because it's everywhere. It's like you're wearing white shoes, right? And it's been raining and raining and raining. And of course, you see the puddles and stuff. But, the clouds are clearing, but it's wet and there's a lot of puddles. You say to yourself, I have these white shoes and I'm not going to walk in that puddle. I'm not going to walk in a puddle. So you're moving along, and lo and behold, an unseen puddle appears and you step right in the center of it. Your sock, your white shoe, it's just soaked with water and mud. And you immediately say to yourself, it's going to take me ages to get that clean. That's being an ego mind, and that's being in yesterday and tomorrow. Now, in the heart mind, sun shining, no water, no rain, no puddles. You're having a great time. You're living moment to moment. And that's all you're focused on. And you're celebrating every moment as you go along. Because, see, when we enter these bodies, we get really used to them. You know what I mean? We get used to them. We complain more than we praise being in the body. We complain about all kinds of things. Aches, as we grow, aches and pains, and discomfort. And we focus on that and we create more of it for ourselves. And we look at things differently, and every moment that we experience, we're exuberated, excited to celebrate every moment that we're in these bodies. To realize, but not, some people will do it for like a burst, and then it'll just kind of go, and then back to square one. But when you practice it enough, there is a major shift that happens where you no longer step in that puddle with white shoes. You don't do it. And you're not stressed about it because your moment to moment is all you're focused on. Every moment that your foot hits the ground, that's the moment you're focused on. There's no way you're going to step in a mud puddle. Now, that's your heart-mindedness, ego-mindedness. You're going to step in a whole bunch of them. You're going to throw your hands up in the air and say, what the heck, who cares? And why do we feel overwhelmed? We've got so much happening on the planet, more than ever in the history of this planet. We're going from dark to light. Now, majority of us are light. In fact, everybody is light. But it's the perception in these bodies, in the ego mind, that directs us to the darkness. You've heard people mention, have you walked the dark path in life? Now, some of us have. Did we do it by choice, consciously? Not really. No, heck no. But we did. We walked the dark path in this life that we're in now. And we were able to walk it and come out the other side. And have you ever been in conversation with anybody that says, yeah, at one time, I did this, this, and this, and this. The response with the other being is that, wow, that's some heavy-duty stuff. And then your response is, yeah, but I'm grateful I experienced it because I have a much clearer perspective on how phenomenal this life is. It's all about us comparing. And when we are in these physical forms, we compare. See, we create things that give us the opportunity to compare. And some of us might think that we fly by the seat of our pants. We never do that. We are footloose, fancy-free beings. We're wild and free, but the majority of us don't know that. So it is what we believe to be. So when you believe a certain way, that is what you are. That's it. Someone else believes something differently, that's the way they are. That's the direction they will walk with. Now, all of us on this planet, in it, above it, and below it, that means all species, whether they're underground, whether they're in transdimensional warp conduits, doesn't matter. We are all one. Isn't it ironic that here on this planet, we really do act like we are definitely separate, don't we? Don't we? It's like you could live next door to someone for 30 years and never know them. Now, in this country, that didn't happen much back in the 50s, the 60s. Because, we were so curious, we were always talking neighbors and everything. I wonder who's moving in next door. And see, I was raised on air bases, on military bases. Not different, it's a different life. We were kind of a secure group, and we would all of us service brats would, we had the grocery store, we had the AFEX Annex, we had the commissary, the base exchange. And these were terms that were used like, you go grocery store. And we would go off base on occasion. It was an outing. It was exciting to go off base. So you have the guard, you have the gate at the entrance of the base. You leave, tell them, and then you're out there in civilian life, going to the stores and all that stuff. But it was an experience, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, you lived like a gypsy. You would move every 2 years, maybe less, depending. And you would leave after you were beginning to make friends, and everybody knew that, right? And so then we would go to another base, and then we'd start over and make friends. And we made friends, we interacted, but we would always laugh about it when we were kids, that we all felt like gypsies because, our father we'd pack up, and, he was on assignment, so my mother would handle everything. He wasn't there. Every single time, he really wasn't there. So she would handle everything, the movers and all that stuff. You imagine moving from Florida, right? We were stationed at a SAC base called Tyndall Air Force Base. Some of you might be familiar with it. It's still around. It's up in the Panhandle, northern Florida. And so we went from there, to, of all places, England. You talk about, culture shock, weather, everything. It was totally it was surreal. And experienced that, the fog, and rain most of the time, and a couple of weeks of sun. But it was enjoyable because we choose that it is fun and enjoyable. And then we would stay in temporary housing, they would call it. And I will tell you that the temporary housing was a real trip. Okay, some of the and you know we didn't stay there long. When my father would find out that we're in this temporary housing and there's so many cockroaches in it that everybody's got to sleep in the same bed in the center of the room, because when you would turn the lights off, not exaggerating, the cockroaches, you could hear them moving. There was that many of them. So we were immediately whisked away and put into different quarters, so to speak. But this is all experience, that we all have different forms of experience that we can either choose to be, what a horrible nightmare, or we could say, wow, this is a riot. Right? And anything that we're in the now experiencing, whatever it may seem to us, we created it. So we say, I created this. It really does help. When you say to yourself, whatever it is, okay, whatever might be percolating with you, and you say to yourself, okay, so I created this. I want to look at this right in this now moment. Why would I create this for myself? What is in this that I need to know? Right? It's like years ago when I started interfacing with banks, right? It's like you're totally virgin. You have no clue on how deep the criminality of banks are until you experience it several times. And then you want to balance yourself so you do not become part of it as far as being affected and then viewing everything as negative. That's what I mean by becoming a part of it. We're all in there. You don't have to, but you choose to say, I've learned a lot and I'm very grateful for it. Right? If you look at the country right now, if you look at the country, our country, this America, soon to become much larger, and you look at it and you say, this is an absolutely kaleidoscope of activity. We've got, right now, currently we have 50 countries, all grouped together on one continent. We call them states, but they're really countries. And so all these countries in North America here, just on this continent alone, and the diversity and the richness of the culture. And I mean, you could go from country to country in this country and experience something new scenery. It's unreal. But we do take that for granted, just like we do many things. Rather than celebrating that moment, it's like, you're going from Indiana and going to Illinois, and you have the welcome signs, but it's a different landscape, right? So it's like you go through Nebraska, and all the one way of coming into Colorado, you go through Nebraska, and you see all these windmills, one of the most ridiculous things that the civilization ever could have put up. But all these windmills, right? Huge. And you see these flatbeds carrying parts to repair them all over the place. But it's all flat. It's amazing. It's because you see all this flat land. Then you start coming in, and you start to come in on the arid side of Colorado. It's just everything starts to change. It's amazing. And that's the way all the countries are in this country across the board. Everywhere you go, it's different. There's some similarities, but it's always different. It's like our lives. Always different. Even though you may look at it and say, oh boy, this is boring. You look at it from that perspective, it's going to be boring. But if you, on the flip side, you say, this is phenomenal, that I have the greatest opportunity that I could possibly dream of to be in a physical material form and experience all this second to second, moment to moment to moment. Now, then our perspective on this life totally shifts. Okay, we enjoy it, but we're not in it. We watch it and we learn. We interact with others and we learn. We teach. See, so it's interesting because you've heard me say this before. All of us are students and we are also teachers. It just depends in the moment. One moment you're learning from somebody that you never in a million years thought that that would happen at that particular moment, but it happens and you learn something. Another time you say something to somebody and they pick up the fact that I really enjoyed meeting with that being because I learned something that I probably wouldn't have learned for a very long time. Say, it is spectacular. It is phenomenal. And we are all experiencing, moment to moment, the great shift of this civilization in this quadrant of the Milky Way galaxy on the outer rim in this little solar system. We are experiencing that shift. The darkness of the planet is being eliminated. The lightness is seeping in everywhere. And you're going to see more and more and more of it. And you'll see the last vestiges of the dark forces fade slowly out. You watch, say. We've got fires in California. We've got freezing in the East Coast. We've got fire on the West Coast. We've got all this activity going on. Now, a lot of people on this planet will be saying, in this country alone, saying, it's the end of the world for us. See, right? That's the focus. But you're there watching, not judging, and you're looking at everything going, what a wonderful life. Now, to many that would seem absolutely insane, wouldn't it? But you've chosen to be wild and free as the God that you are in that body, which you know that body is temporary, and you know that you are an omnipotently supreme, manifesting, abundant being that never dies. That's phenomenal. That's huge. So everything that comes along, you embrace it. You say, okay, I would like to see that not happen anymore. Let's bring in the rains and douse it. Right? Let's bring in warmth. It's wintertime, so different parts of our country will experience colder temperatures and that type of thing. But the interesting part of it is that many of us don't know, because we're not in the now on a continual basis, but many of us don't know that the ice, right, in the North Pole and the ice in the South Pole have increased by 24%. And all along it's been said, right, over and over again, the attempt to program the civilizations that everything's warming up, everything's melting. When in actuality, the opposite is happening. This is why it's imperative that we stay in the now. We focus on the now, moment to moment. We stay disengaged with the ego mind. And the more we practice that, the less we will engage with the ego mind. And the more we will become the masters of it. So in the quiet time of this meditation, focus just in the now, period. You focus on the breath. Right? When you go into this meditation, you get in a comfortable place. You make sure you have no outside distractions. You begin to relax into your body. That's the only way you're ever going to relax, is into the body through meditation. You relax into the body and you focus on your breath rising and falling, and you're as still as you possibly can be. That's the now. There's no yesterday, there's no tomorrow, there's no worry, stress. It doesn't exist. So your deep-seated commitment is to embrace the God that you are within that body and experience the bliss on a continual basis of which you are. No matter how much that ego mind wants to bring in the crap, you're in the now. You celebrate every single moment that you're in that body. Join you in meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into your body, focused on your breath rising and falling. Make peace with your dark side. Be gentle with every part of you that feels fearful, negative, unlovable, or unworthy. Allow your darkness to be felt, seen, and heard until it's fully emptied out. Let everything rise to the surface. Be released into the light of your pure, effervescent being. And it's okay if others see this negative part of you, because guess what? They have the same part too. They may not always recognize it, but once they look further back into their adolescent, immature past, they'll find it. We all have these hidden dark parts within us. Even the greatest saints would be the first to admit their relationship with darkness. And if you asked a saint how they made peace with their dark side, they'd probably say, "Oh, beloved, let your darkness come closer until it feels the warmth of your brilliant, glowing heart." I tried this myself. Then I was amazed at how quickly darkness magically disappeared. Then I realized a wonderful thing. Every saint and sinner out there share the same divine essence that is the container for them all. So do not avoid your darkness, celebrate its existence, and let your life be balanced. Be at peace, because you have both dark and light within you. Make peace with both aspects of you, with your super holy, spiritual, multi-dimensional nature. It's amazing how your light keeps shining on and on and on and on, like a billion-year-old star in the vast, infinite emptiness. Shine on, baby. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, following morning. We will return here tonight, Wednesday, January 8, 2025, a little after 9:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our time for change call. And Thursday, January 9, 2025, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times. No matter what's happening within you or outside of you. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.